Hi everyone and welcome to episode 10 of FM21 Beta Battle with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, things are going extraordinarily well. Some good results recently mean that we are in the top 5 of the Premier League. Other things, there's some issues. Jack Wilshere's out again, bless him, for another 5 weeks. We've got a couple of other minor injuries going around, and we've got some really tough games between now and the end of the season. So let's get into today's episode and check it all out. Welcome back to Leeds United. As I say, we are doing really well, sitting in 5th position in the Premier League, but it's not a foregone conclusion that we will finish in this top 6 because the games that we've got coming up are going to be really tough. We've got a good chance today, though, just with a game in hand over the couple of teams directly below us, to get 3 points if we possibly can and cement our position in that top 6 as much as is possible. But the opponents for today are Chelsea. And recently, just like with Liverpool, Chelsea, just before playing us, have sacked their manager. Not Liverpool, Tottenham. Tottenham sacked their manager beforehand. Mourinho left and Bielsa went in, and we got a 1-1 draw against them, having seen them struggling all season. And now Ed Brand is currently in charge of Chelsea, having sacked Lampard. And that's because they've been sitting in this mid-table position all season long. You can see that Tottenham down in 14th. That's why they had to change their manager. So are they going to get a new manager bump today and get a couple of results that are going to change the fortunes of their club for the rest of the season? I kind of hope not, but you can never be too sure, can you? So we're going to have to be good today to get the points. And it is going to be a tricky game. But let's hope that we can do it. So in terms of recent fixtures, we've only played a couple since you and I were together for that Tottenham 1-1 draw. We played Wolves and beat them 3-2. Got a good couple of early goals in the first half. And then Baka got the third goal in the 91st minute to win us the match, which was fantastic. I thought we'd let it slip a little bit and maybe just gone for a draw in the end. And that actually is pretty much what happened in the next game. We were 2-1 up with about 5 minutes to go or whatever it was. And eventually what were we? Let's go and have a look at this. I got that slightly wrong. We'll just go and have a look at the scoring. So we were 1-0 up at 69 minutes. They then went 2-1 up in the 89th minute. That's right. And it was us that came back in the 90th minute just to get that late equaliser. So we almost threw it away at this point here, having been 1-0 up already. And then fortunately just managed to salvage an away draw against West Ham. So in the end, it wasn't a terrible result, but when you're up in a game with 10 minutes to go or whatever, and then you throw it away like we did, it's a bit of a problem. The last 15 minutes of games in this beta version of Football Manager 21 are really difficult to not concede goals in, I find. Doesn't mean that we haven't scored a couple in that kind of period ourselves, but actually it's just really hard. We might have to shut up shop a little bit for the last 15 minutes of games and really go defensive to see if we can hold on to stuff maybe. But yeah, and the other thing that we can talk about whilst we're on this particular page, as I said in the intro to the episode, we got some tricky games. We've got 9 games left in the Premier League, and 6 of them are against one of the big 6, the sort of traditional top 6 in the Premier League. So we've still got to play Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, and again Man City to end the season. It's going to be tricky, and there's 2 Sheffield United games in there as well, who, if you remember, are currently our direct rivals for that 5th and 6th position in the Premier League. I don't know if we could have had a much harder run-in, to be honest. In the middle, there's Newcastle. Where are they sitting in the Premier League currently? They're sitting 18th, so we might get some points from them. But other than that, it is going to be a really tricky run-in. But today, we start off with Chelsea, and I think we are at home. We are indeed. So here we are with confirmation, unfortunately, that Jack Wilshere remains as fragile as ever. He's out for another couple of weeks. He's been out already for a little while with this particular knock. And he's just so unlucky with injuries, isn't he, really? He is so fragile. Unfortunately, Rodrigo is also out for today, but only for a couple of days. But we can't afford to injure our players anymore. So it is worth resting them just at this point because we've got some big games coming up. So he's out of the squad completely. We've got a couple that have coming back from issues. Jan, Matt and Harrison both find themselves on the bench. They're fit enough to be able to do that. The rest of the squad, though, we've been able to rotate a little bit here and there to keep them all relatively match fit and match sharp where we can. So most of the rest of my first team 11 are out on the pitch. And for Chelsea, we have changed the tactics a little bit. I thought it was time to go a little bit more positive and see if we can find a way to play the first half on the front foot a little bit. In possession, we have shortened the passing and shortened the tempo. Remember, we've done that recently in a game and it worked a bit better for us. And we're working the ball into the box a little bit more. In transition, not a lot has changed in that particular area. And then in possession, I have just dropped back the intensity of our press slightly. It's not what I want the focal point of our attack, our style of play to be, let's say. And so, yeah, we'll see whether those changes work today against Chelsea. The other thing to tell you about is Baka, having come into the club in January, he's really on course to get those double-figure goals. He's already got 8 in 9, which is fantastic, or plus one sub-appearance. He has done brilliantly well for me. I'm really, really pleased with him and the impact he's made. So if he can continue that over the next few games and get a few more goals, he will definitely get into those double figures, which is what I really needed him to do for the second half of the season, to keep propelling us forward, which he's doing magnificently well. So all of that today means that in a slightly tweaked style of play, we've got Meslier in goal, Ayling at right back, Dallas at left back, Llorente and Koch in central defence, with Click, Phillips and Shackleton in central midfield, Costa on the right, Hernandez on the left and Bakker up top, with a bench of Cooper, Jan, Matt, Davis, Forshaw, Rafinha, Harrison and Bamford. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. How on earth are Chelsea sitting where they are in the table when they've got this sort of team to choose from? Look, I mean, for goodness sake, Hudson-Odoi and Werner and David Neres are all on the bench. Ansu Fati has come into their squad as well. They already had a ridiculous lineup at the sort of attacking portion of their team, didn't they? Zuma isn't in the side. They've got such a good amount of players. Why are they struggling so much? My suggestion is, ultimately, they probably won't struggle today because that's just how it works sometimes. But anyway, let's go into the dressing room. We're going to have to be quite positive, I would suggest. So let's do the outstretched arms, and we're going to say, I want you to ignore the recent praise and media and just play the natural game. And just go out there and see if we can get a performance out of this group of players today against really tricky opponents. They are going to be a real problem to us, I feel. But we are at home, and the recent form has been okay. A couple of draws which are problems, but Hernandez with the first corner, and it's Robin Koch that comes in from the run at the top of the penalty box, gets the head on the ball, but straight down the sights of Mendy in goal, and it doesn't really trouble him. But we win the ball back from his clearance, which is good. Costa this time runs into the box, has a pot shot from slightly narrow, and Mendy again puts it over the top of the bar, but we're putting the pressure on, which is fantastic. And in that vein, we're going to go in and demand more even from this point. We're going to keep them trying to push forward, but Chelsea get a chance to counter-attack on the corner kick. And it's Dallas that gets a foot in and tackles really well and takes the ball away from them. And we end that particular highlight. And so far, you can see that we're dominating the chances created, which is good. Possession's been reasonable. And here we go again down that right-hand side from the Ayling throw-in. But a loose ball there. And then they boot it clear. And it looks like our defenders are going to be able to pick that up with no problem. Llorente right in the corner area. Goes to the goalkeeper. Can he clear it comfortably? He can, but only to Pulisic. And now we're in trouble. But I think Abraham was offside there. I think he was. Yeah, the flag from the linesman went up fairly early. We can breathe a little bit there. There's a little bit of a loose ball into midfield from the goalkeeper, wasn't it, that caused us a problem. Now, the other thing I could tell you about that's completely extraordinary for a Football Manager game of any sort is that currently Meslier is my number one guy in the club for average ratings this season. And that is unheard of in goalkeeping terms. Ayling seems to have picked up a little bit of a knock. Not a terrible one. He's still reasonably strong in his conditioning, but something to look at as we go forward. Now, what happened there? What happened? You tell me. Surely that's match engine not performing in the way that it should do somehow, because the ball went over the top. The goalkeeper and the defender both ran from opposite directions towards the ball. None of them were communicating with each other as to who was going to clear it. And in the end, Abraham gets in the middle of them and puts it home for a 1-0 lead after 45 minutes, just on the edge of the first half. We were doing so well. 6 shots at goal, 4 on target, 54% of the possession, 93% of the passes completed. We were fantastic in that first half. And then a moment of complete and utter madness between the central defender and the goalkeeper not communicating properly about who was actually going to clear the ball. The defender slows up because of it, and Abraham takes the ball and scores a goal. Really disappointing. We're going to have to tell them so as well. So we've thrashed the arms around a bit. Far from pleased with that, just as a way to end that first half. We were doing really well up until that point. So we can go straight back in, and we're going to have to go into the shouts and demand more again from them at the beginning of the second half. But it's Chelsea on the ball down the right-hand side. Dropped it into midfield for Kovacic. And he's on to Abraham. Abraham takes a pot shot, but it wasn't a very good one, was it? Went well wide, and Meslier didn't even have to move really before knowing that it was going to go well wide. So if they can keep their attempts at goal to that type of shot, I'll be perfectly happy. In terms of the XG, we are at 0.56 and they're at 0.76. So none of us are doing particularly fantastic with our chances. And this second half is absolutely just drifting away. 68 minutes gone. We still find ourselves 1-0 down. So we're going to go in and make a couple of changes. Wants to stay on, but injury is affecting his play. We're going to have to take Ayling off, aren't we then, unfortunately. So he'll come off and Janmaat comes on. Llorente deserved his yellow card, is the performance-related feedback that we're getting. Do I take the yellow cards off? I've got to take Dallas off, really. Look at his match conditioning as well. What I don't really understand, I think, with the Hearts particularly, is at what point within this does it actually mean that he's going to fall back, basically fall on his backside and not be able to play anymore? Because that looks really bad compared to everybody else. But is it? What's your experience of the Hearts and how they actually work, and how bad it's going to be when they get to this sort of level? We're going to take him out anyway. I think we probably need to protect him a little bit. And then we've got a yellow card for Phillips in central midfield, and also a slightly lesser conditioning as well. So we'll take him out. Forshaw has come in and done very well for him when need be. But let's just hope that this type of game isn't one sort of too far up for him to be able to contribute massively to. I'm pretty happy with the performance in general terms. We just haven't quite created enough chances again, have we? That have been able to be converted. So we're going to go into the attacking mentality for the last few minutes. We're at home. Chelsea haven't provided anything particularly special, have they? So if we can find a way in the last few minutes of the game to really have a go and get a couple of chances, maybe we can convert one. Costa with a good run, and then the right full back. And there we go. Janmaat takes over from Costa, puts a really powerful low cross in right the way across the 6-yard box, and it's Shackleton coming in at the back post in the Metzala role today, because Rodrigo and Wilshere are both out injured. And that's a great cross from Janmaat. finds Shackleton, and he makes no mistake whatsoever and powers it home for a 1-1 with about 7 minutes to go. Again, Hernandez on the ball, far post, and the header comes back from Costa, and within a couple of minutes we've turned this game on its head completely. The attacking mentality has worked out for us, and we've taken a couple of really good chances. Hernandez with a free kick to the very back post, and Costa, I think it was Costa, no, was it Costa? No, it was Llorente that got up above everybody else and managed to squeeze his header in at that far post. And we've got minutes to get through to get a really, really key 3 points. And we do. We manage it. Finally, on an episode, we get a positive result. A really good 3 points. Having been down in the game since the 45th minute, just before half-time, you can see, look at this bulk of players here, all playing above 7 as an average rating. And Hernandez down that left-hand side as well. Bacca had a quiet game today. But that's okay if the team are playing pretty well, and it's Llorente at the back that was the star of our show. So let's go and check out what else we can learn from this particular performance. So in the end, because of that second half performance, we ended up with an XG of 1.17 and got a couple of goals from it, which is great. Chelsea in the end on a 0.97 for the XG. So we were above the curve for ourselves a little bit, which is fantastic to see. So we ended up with the 2 goals. We had a reasonable amount of chances, didn't we, through the game? Let's go in and click into this. We had a couple of goals, 10 attempts, 3 with feet, 5 with head. 2 with head. So, that's bizarre. You tell me what you think of this. So we had 10 attempts at goal, and 3 of them with the feet, and 2 of them with the head. What were the other 5 with? Not sure I understand how that works, but anyway, never mind. We won't worry about it. But if you've got a thought in the comments, what other options are there off the left butt? I don't know. Anyway, we had a good amount of shots and some good inside the box. Working it into the boxes got us a few decent opportunities, which is great. And so we can see that the goalkeeper saved a couple in this kind of area, which is really positive. There's the goal from Shackleton. And there, right on the periphery of the goal, down that side, is the goal from Llorente. We had a couple of half-decent long shots as well. All in all, I'm not unhappy with the amount that we created. We could have made the goalkeeper work a little bit more here and there. We'll check that out in a second with the shots that were off target, etc. Chelsea, though, they had their chances, didn't they? They really did. They worked a lot of good opportunities in and around the box and didn't quite manage to take enough of them today to put us to the sword. And you can see in terms of the heat map, in terms of average positions, we were doing really well. We dropped slightly deeper than they do, which is how I want us to be a little bit. I don't want too much space behind us. Still got that slight isolation issue for the attacking, the striker, but it didn't seem to impact us too much. He holds the ball up pretty well when he gets the opportunity. And all 3 positions, left, right and centre through our team, produce some good stuff and quality opportunities to move our attack forward. So we were using all of the aspects of our team, should I say, which is really great. And there's the man of the match, Llorente. So if we go into the team and we'll go straight into the shots, should I say, and look at the off-target ones, just focus on our own. So we only had a couple that were off-target, so that's not too bad in terms of percentage. And then let's see what happened to those shots when they were on target, and it's this. 6 of them saved by their goalkeeper. Mendy had a really good game, obviously, and kept us out. There was only 1 extra one that was blocked by a defender, I would suggest. And so, yeah, it's all about their goalkeeper having had a really good day, isn't it? The intercepted passes, they're less than they have been recently, which is really good to see. Again, shortening the style of play, and those passes has obviously worked a bit there. So that's great to see. No blocked ones, unsuccessful ones. Not so bothered about the long ones, to be honest. These probably free kicks, I would imagine, rather than crosses. So that happens. A crowded penalty box doesn't always get to where you want it. And then out of play, really happy with this. That's a good reduction in the out of play passes. So our consistency and our accuracy is getting better with the passes, and we had 8 key, and they were mostly down this right hand side for the likes of Hernandez and Forshaw and Janmat and Ayling. All had a good opportunity to get balls into the box, so we were doing pretty well on that front today as well. So all in all, great. Let's go and check out our goalkeeper, because he's obviously doing really, really well with the ratings that he's getting. So he saved and held a shot. He saved and parried a couple of shots. That was the extent of what he had to do primarily for himself. Obviously let one goal in, but that's okay. That's just one of those things that happen. But he's playing really, really well, which is fantastic. Let's go and check out the average positions with the ball. So we're quite defensively solid, which is great. Occasionally, I think that we could transition into the attack slightly better, but with the short passing on that we've got at the moment and the low pace in our game, I think it's going to always try and be slightly more defensively solid than anything else. So between the two, there's not an awful lot of difference, is there really? Maybe we need to find a way to transition from defending into attacking in a slightly different way. But that's fairly consistent, and I think I quite like that. So overall, these are the average positions. You can see that we've got an attacking fullback down this side, slightly more so than the left-hand side, who cuts in a little bit more. Dallas, I really like in the underlapping fullback role. I think he's doing great. Can we potentially get this kind of role, the Metzala, into a slightly more advanced position here and there? Possibly. But I think the wide men are doing that a little bit. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how we're playing currently, and it's going to have improved our league position no end against the likes of Sheffield United, who are in and around where we are, and opening a gap up a little bit that's going to help us as we move through the rest of the season. So we can go in here and we can outstretched arms. You've done brilliantly to come back and win that. I'm proud of you. That's the one we're going to go for. Build up the motivation and the morale and the spirit in the club, which is actually really solid at the moment. It's not something that we've had a look at. We will in a second. We'll go into the dynamics page and see where the squad is, but it's doing really well. And why wouldn't it be? We're sitting in 5th place in the Premier League, and we've now got a 4-point gap over Sheffield United, and even further back to the likes of Aston Villa, Southampton, Chelsea, Leicester, all chasing us down. But we've got that gap. Does that secure us our spot in the 6th position at least? I don't think it does necessarily, because we've still got all of these big guys to play, and Man City twice. It's going to be a really, really hard run-in. If you've got a harder run-in than basically playing all of the other teams in the top 6 at least once, and we've got Sheffield United twice, Man City twice, I think, yeah, that's going to be tricky. Bring on the Newcastle game is all I can say. But anyway, let's continue on from there. And we are going to just go through this news feed. Ayling picked up his knock, out for 5 to 7 days. Not too bad. Came from behind to win. Llorente inspires to win. 6 unbeaten. Not bad at all. Couple of draws in there, absolutely. But I will happily take that. And so let's go in and have a look at the dynamics of the squad. This was not how I took over in the first place, obviously. They were not particularly impressed, and it took a little while just to get them to believe in what we wanted to do. But now the team cohesion is good. The club atmosphere is excellent. The managerial support is very good. The hierarchy, here's the hierarchy of the club. How many of them support me? Most of them do. There's a couple of greyed out. Phillips, I'm a bit surprised about. He's been one of the key players for us, but you know, there you go. That's the way it is. Social group, I think we've done pretty well with the social group. I'm a bit surprised to see Cooper out of the main social group, though, as basically the club captain. But he's obviously sitting with Llorente and Bakker and bringing them into the club, which is great to see. But yeah, I'm slightly surprised by that. And the happiness, the general why wouldn't they be happy? There's a couple of issues around, little minor ones, but it's all really, really great, isn't it? Absolutely it is. And so I'm more than happy with that. And we sit comfortably in 5th position. So all in all, good episode, I would say. So we've got about 3 episodes left of this season, I would say, just to fill out the rest of this beta series until the official launch of the game. It might leave me with a day free just before the official launch, but that's okay. We won't worry about that. So what we're going to come back for is we're going to come back and play Arsenal, then Liverpool, because we need to see if we can get some revenge on Liverpool for what they did to us earlier in the season when they beat us 5-0. Can't have that. So we're going to play Arsenal next episode. Following episode will be Liverpool, and the following episode will be the last game of the season against Man City. In between times, some really tricky games to come. Wish me luck, and please tell me about if you've had a harder run-in than this. I want to know about it, because this is ridiculous. If we can stay in the top 6 having gone through all of this, I'll be very, very impressed. Join me next episode to find out how we go between now and the Arsenal game, and then we'll see whether we can get a good home win against them. Until then, though, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the interaction and the support on the episodes so far through the beta. Tell me what you're enjoying about the beta yourself in your own saves, or what you've watched from other people, or whatever it might be. Interested to hear what you've got to say about the FM21 beta. Until next time, though, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click join my United City community. Click that like button for me. Help me get seen by lots of other people. Go and check the links in the description below to the likes of Discord, for example, on my Twitter. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.